Hello, very good morning. Today we are going to discuss scenario-based questions on worklist, work baskets, assignments, SLAs, work parties. So we'll be covering all the scenario-based questions with respect to the last three classes which we have completed. Okay. First, we'll discuss the high-level overview of the things which are very important for us to start. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay. Able to see my screen, right? Is it visible?
Yes, Tej.
Okay. So what we are going to do today, as mentioned, if I open, I'll just quickly walk through what we are going to discuss today. If I open this operator profile, any operator profile, if you open, in the work tab, you have these options, right? This option, you have it. You have the skill option, rating option, work option, these three options. What are the importance of this using three options? And what is this teams? Why we are using these teams? Okay. The questions will fall under from this entire tab. Okay. These questions which we discussed today will come under from this entire tab. Along with that, we will be discussing on work parties. If you remember, we have configured one work party for approver, right? For approver, we have created work party. For that one, we for this work party creation is something which we have already done. But scenario questions which will play a crucial role in work parties, we'll be discussing it. Along with that, the last one will be service level agreements. So we'll be discussing on service level agreements too. In this, what we'll discuss, what happens, how to configure. So what are the expected questions that we can see from service level agreements is something which we are going to discuss. So from these three topics we are going to discuss today. Let's jump to this tab first. If you jump to this tab, this is the operator profile tab, which plays a crucial role in designing. It helps to assign tasks. So let's consider you are working on some item, right? So who will decide that work to be completed? So let's consider you're having 10 items on your name. It means that the work can be from either worklist or it can be from workbasket. So what happens if I select this option? What happens if I select this option? What happens if I select if I disable these options? So we'll see. Before we understand this one, let me jump to this place. I'll discuss you. This is the scenario which I'm going to discuss. Okay. It says that a operator is having two work groups. An operator is having two work groups. So it says that UVZ A and UVZ B. Okay, this is the default one. If I go back here, let me just, so you can see this is the first work group he is having, and this is the second work group he is having. Okay. And we need to select one default one for sure. So without you selecting default one, Pega will not allow you. If I try to save this one, we'll get an error message saying that work group select should be default. So what we are doing, we are having two work groups here. Work groups, we are having multiple work groups here. One should be default one. Okay, this is the default one. If I go back here again, so you have two work groups. This is the default one. This is the other one. Now you added two work queues from UVZDM. So UVZ is a work group. For one work group, we can have multiple work queues. Am I right? Am I wrong? Can we have multiple work queues for a single work group? Can we have multiple work queues for a single work group? If yes, tell me. If not, why not?
Yes, we can have.
Okay. Yes, we can have. That's correct. So a work group contains multiple work queues. If I open one work group, I'll show you. If you go where we can find the work groups, you can see we have this work group and work queue in the organization tab. If I open this work group, this is the work group, right? For this work group, we will be having one default work queue. For each and every work group, we'll be having one default work queue. And for this work group, we can have multiple work queues. If I go back, if I open this work queues, I have already created one test one to show you to you. So UVZ test. We have UVZ loan dispersal and UVZ test. UVZ test is present in work group of UVZ loan dispersal. Okay. And if you see UVZ loan dispersal is present in UVZ loan dispersal work group. So UVZ loan dispersal work group is having two work queues. Yes, it is possible. For each and every work queue, sorry, for each and every work group, we can have multiple work queues. Got it? This is the first thing that you need to keep in your mind, that a single work group can have multiple work queues, but there should be one default work queue associated for that work group. If you see, this is a work group. For this work group, we need to have one default work queue. Am I clear? Am I clear? So it says that we have a work group called new user loan dispersal. For this work group, we can have n number of work queues, but you need to have one default work queue that you need to provide it here. Clear? Am I clear? This plays a major role. I will tell you what is the importance of we specifying the default work queue. We'll be having questions that we'll be discussing for sure. Keep in mind, one work group can have multiple work queues. Okay. Now if I go back again here, it says that an operator profile is having two work groups, UVZA and UVZB. Here, now you added two work queues from UVZA. So UVZA is having two work queues. UVZB is having only one work queue. Okay.
Hello,
Now
Teja.
yeah, go ahead.
One question. So, if we have multiple work queue, well, like how to prioritize the work? I mean, which will get picked first?
Correct. Correct. I will discuss.
Okay.
That's a good question. I will discuss on it. Okay. So yeah, I will discuss on that. That's the reason why I have a scenario here. So if you see, I have added two work queues. For UVZA, I'm having two work queues, and UVZB is having one work queue. The operator is assigned to both work groups. So operator assigned to both work groups. Now what happens? Now what happens? We are toggling these two checkboxes. The first one is that get from work queues first. We are having this option, and we are having this option called use all work queues assignment in user stream. So if I go back here, now we are going to discuss multiple scenario questions that will come up when this option is selected. If I open this operator profile, this is the operator profile, which says that you're having one work group here, you're having one more work group here. For this one work group, you're having two work queues. Okay. This first two work queues. Assume that the first two work queues are related to the first work group. For the second work group, we're having this second work queue. And the first one is a default one. Let's assume that one. UVZA is the default one. Just giving it as UVZA. I'm giving it as UVZB. Okay. UVZA is having first work queue. UVZA underscore 2. Now we're having UVZB underscore 1. So this is how it looks like. Okay. This is the thing that we need to understand. Now what happens? Now what happens if someone select this option? If I didn't select this option, I didn't selected any option here. I didn't select any option here. Now tell me what happens if I click get next work. Now tell me what happens if I click get next work. This is the first scenario. What happens? Go ahead. Guess.
Actually, the cases assigned to that particular user only will get picked because get from work queue first option is disabled, so it will not get the cases from work queue.
Correct. That's correct. Good one. So if we consider here, what happens for my operator profile, I can have work list assignments and work basket assignments. Am I correct? I can have the work that is getting assigned on my name from either work list or from work basket. Now what happens? So if you see, I'm having two work queues here, work groups. Two work groups I'm having. For these work groups, I'm having multiple work queues. Okay. I didn't select this option. If you're not selecting this option, what happens? First, it will check the assignments that are there on your work list. Okay. Let me explain you more clearly. So user A is having assignments from worklist. Okay, let's consider it as user 101, user 102, user 05. Assignments from Workbasket is having Z103, UZ 104. Now, Scenario 1. Right? Now scenario 1, if you see, I didn't enable for user A, if you consider for user A, what happened for this user A? I didn't enable this option. And he is having these things, team A, team B, work use, we are having, right? So we can consider UVZ underscore VA 1, 2. Okay, what we can do, if I go back here, I'm having again UVZ 106. This is from what? UVZ B. This is from B work queue. Assume this is from B work queue. Now I'm giving it as UVZ underscore A underscore 2. This is for second work queue of UVZ A. UVZ A underscore 1. So this is how it looks like. Okay. Now what happens? Scenario 1. Though it is assigned to everyone. Okay. Though is having assignment from worklist and workbasket, as we have not enabled that option. Okay. Option is not enabled. What option? Get from work queues. Not enabled. Now what happens? First, in order to work, what it will do? First and foremost thing, what Pega will check whether this option is enabled or not. No, if this option is not enabled, then this entire thing will be skipped. Okay, this entire thing will be skipped. Skipped in the sense it will not pick from here at the first time. Now what it will do? When you click on get next work, it will go and fetch it from here. It will try to get the work list which are there in this UVZ 101, UVZ 102, UVZ 105. Let's assume this one is having urgency of 50. Okay. The second one is having urgency of 70. And the third one is having urgency of 40. Now tell me what happens. It clearly says that first option is not enabled. Get from work is first is not enabled. So if this is not enabled, then though you're having, let's consider this fellow, this is having urgency. Let's consider this is having assignment from Workbasket. Yes. This is having, let's consider this having urgency of 80. Okay. This is having urgency of 80. I'm not talking about other things. It is having urgency of 80. This option is not enabled. Get from work is first is not enabled. First, what it will do? It will go and check it from the work list. It will go to the work list and picks the case which is having the highest urgency. Now what happens? Now UVZ 102 will be picked if I select get next work. Clear? Am I clear? Am I clear?
Yes,
Yes.
Teja.
Nice. So this is the first scenario question, which says that we are having assignment from worklist and assignment from workbasket. Okay. These are the things which are related to worklist. These are the things which are related to workbasket. Scenario 1, option is not enabled. Get from work is first is not enabled. This is not enabled. Now what happens? The one that will be picked from this worklist having the highest urgency value. Now I'm giving it as 50. Now tell me what is my expectation? Which one will be picked up? This should have popped up in your mind. Yeah.
Urgency is same, so we should select that one more option will be there, right, Teja, to pick the cases from descending order or ascending order.
What? So I didn't enable those options. So if you see on operator profile, I didn't do any changes. Okay. And I don't have even custom activity. I don't even have the custom activity created. I simply have this configuration user 101, user 102, user 105 without making any extra configurations. I didn't do extra configurations. Now tell me what happens, what will be picked up.
101 will be picked up because it is the oldest with the same urgency, so it will be picked up.
Correct. That's correct. So how it will check it? With the help of, now what happens? Scenario 2. What happens? PX create date time. Okay, this helps to, this is the value which will help to assign cases. Okay, so if you see PX create date time, for this one we have PX create date time. For this one we have PX create date time. For each and every case, we'll be having PX create date time. So if you see the one which is having the older PX create date time, that will be picked up. So in this case, what happens? 101. will be picked up. Clear? So both urgencies. Am I clear?
Yes, exactly.
Now we need to jump to the other scenario questions. So this is clear, right? Now what happens? Now come back to the document. Get from work is first. Let's enable this option and see. I'm just enabling this option now. So the next question will follow this pattern. If I enable this option, get from work use first. Get from work use first. Now tell me, what is my expectation if I select this option of get from work use first? Let's go to the notepad.
There's
Here.
one question before.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
So in the scenario one, so we haven't enabled that get work from work queue first, and we have completed all the work that is available in the work list. Then it will pick from the work basket, right? It won't skip the work basket
No,
completely.
correct. Yeah, definitely. That's
Yeah,
correct. So if you
it's
see,
like it won't
I've
pick
completed all these three cases. Skipped in the sense initial picking will be skipped. Okay. Skipped at the initial pickup. Okay.
Then it
Let's
will go
consider
on the priority basis.
correct priority basis. If you let's consider you already completed these three things. If I completed these three things, then if you click on get next work, then definitely you're assigned to these work baskets, right? You're assigned to these work baskets that will be picked. But the initial thing, the priority is a priority one I'm talking about. Priority. Okay. With respect to priority, it will go and pick from work list. If all the things are completed from your work list, then it will get it from the work basket. Got it? So this is with respect to the priority. Okay. You're having assigned to these three things. The first and foremost thing what it will do, it will check from the work list. If that is not if that is there, then it will work on that work list. Then work basket is something which it will take care of the next time. Clear?
Yeah, that's clear. Yeah.
Okay. Now let's talk about this scenario 3. Here what we are doing, we are enabling this option. We have enabled this option of get from work queues first is enabled. This option is enabled. Now tell me, the entire thing will remain same. Entire thing will remain same. Now tell me what I will do. Instead of modifying it from here, this is the expectation, right? So this is how it looks like. 50, 70, this is the initial one. Yeah. If you want, I can add urgency for this one too. Urgency of 90. 90, I guess 60 here. This one will be 90. Now tell me what happens. Here we have this option of get from work queues first is enabled, right? Get from work queues first is enabled. We have assignment from work list and work baskets. So now what is my expectation? The first and foremost thing that we need to see is that this is enabled. So what happens here? This one will be skipped at the initial pickup, right? It's not priority. This is not a priority item. Am I correct? It clearly says that get from work queues first. It means that whatever the things that are there in the work queues, please go and pick it from the work queue. Okay. Then you can go and check from the work list. This is the first thing that you need to keep in your mind. Am I clear? Now, tell me what will be picked and why. This will be an interesting question. This is something which will be asked in an interview. Tell me
Teja,
what.
can you go back to Pega screen?
Sure. Okay.
So here, are we doing any that kind of merging thing? No,
No,
right?
I'm not doing. Only this option is selected.
Okay, then it will only pick from UB, is it A work queue? Since we are not merging with UVZB, so priority case, like urgency with maximum case in UVZA will be picked first,
Correct.
and it keeps on assigning to the operator who opens the case till that
Mhm.
work queue got exhausted. Then, if all the cases got assigned back to the same user, or that work list is, work queue is done, then the
Mhm.
first topmost case from that work list will keep on appearing for that user.
That's correct. And the initial thing, you have said that it will only pick it from the UVZA. Am I correct?
Yeah, because we that is the what's that default work basket we have given, right? And we are not merging the work basket in we using the below options, right?
Okay. So now what you're telling, if we consider this scenario, okay. Now what you say, what is my expectation?
From UVZ A,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the cases will be picked first.
Okay. What if I give urgency as 90 here?
Yeah, it's PX create datetime plays a role here. So whichever has the oldest PX create datetime will be picked first.
Why? Because this is related to the other work power queue, right? UVZ and B. Why we required a PX create datetime here?
So UVZB will not be considered. So
Mm-hmm.
only UVZA case will be considered because we have selected A as the default one.
Okay.
So B will
I'll
not be
tell you.
considered.
Correct. So if that's something which you have missed, I will tell you. So here what happens here, this is something which everyone tell, but yeah, UVZA underscore 1 will be picked. I'll tell you why will be picked. I'll tell you why. Because if you see UVZA underscore 1 and UVZA underscore 2, what are these two? These two are work queues, right? These two are work queues from a single work group. Am I right? If I go back here, as mentioned, we are having two work groups. We're having two work groups. So for this work group, UVZA, we are having two work queues. This is the first work queue. This is the second work queue. For UVZB, this is a work group. For this one, we are having UVZB underscore 1 as a work queue, right? So this is the initial understanding. Now what happens if I select this option, get from work queues first? What it will do, it will go and check the default one. That's fine. You have mentioned, you have answered it correctly saying that it will go and check the default work queue. That's really nice. So what happens if you select this option, it only check the default work group. So the priority again changed from you're having, though you're having multiple work groups here, if you're enabling only this option, it says that go and check it from UVZA. Go and check it from UVZA. Inside UVZA, the one that is having the default one. If I open, I don't have this UVZA. I didn't create it. If I create this one, let's consider if I have a UVZA created, the one that is having default work queue got assigned here will be picked up. Got it? Though you're having multiple work queues. Now what happens if you are having UVZA underscore 1? This is a default one. So what the one that is there in the default one will be picked up. Am I clear? Though you're having UVZA underscore 2, that is the work queue that you're having in that work group, though it is having the highest priority, though it's having the highest priority, if you are selecting this option of get from work queues first, it will only check the default work group of the default work queue. Got it? If I go to this operator profile, where is my operator profile? Okay. We are having one more option of this one. Use all work queues assignment in users teams. Got it? Use all work queue assignments in user teams. This will this will be the second thing. So this will be a second thing which says that for the default one, if you're having multiple work queues, for the default one, if you're having multiple work queues, check from that priority. So yeah, there are two things which you need to keep in your mind. Okay. Merge work queues, leave about this one. For first two options, we need to keep in your mind for the first two options. Here what happens as mentioned, UVZ EM1 will be picked up. If someone asks you the question, this is the question. He says that get from work is first is enabled. This is the scenario. The first and foremost thing that you need to ask, what you need to ask before you answering it. What you need to ask him? Can you please tell me what is the default work queue of the default work group? Got it? Now he tells us, yes. He tells that UVZA_1 is the default work queue, right? And the default work group is UVZA. Got it? So this is very important. This is very important. Before you answer it, though it is having priority as 90, this is the urgency which is 90, UVZA_2 is not the default work group. Okay, this is not the default work queue. So it's very important that if only this option is enabled, it will only check the default work group. Inside default work group, it will only check the default work queue. Am I clear? Am I clear? If you're having any doubts, please respond. Provide me your inputs. If you are having any doubt, let me know. I'll tell you. This is the scenario 4, the one that you have explained beautifully. That comes in the scenario 4. Okay.
There's one question. So,
Yeah, go on.
it will pick only the default work queue or only on priority? I mean, the remaining won't be get picked ever. Is it like that?
Yeah, it will only pick first. I'm talking about only the priority ones.
Okay.
So this is the scenario. If you see from Worklist or Workbasket, anything will be picked at the end. Everything will, you have an option to pick it anything because
So here, sorry
Mhm.
to interrupt. So here the
Yeah.
order will be, UV said A_1 with the
Mhm.
highest priority, that is 18.
Correct. Mhm.
We don't have anything on UVZ A1.
Mhm.
Then we'll
Mhm.
go for UVZ A_2. Am I
Correct.
right? Okay, so that is with the 90, even though, but that is on the default work queue. And then we'll
Not
go.
default work queue. Now here just you need to
Yeah.
check on the PX create date time. Okay.
Oh. Oh, okay. So even though it is in the I mean that is under UVZA and other one is under UVZB, then we have to check the PX1 work creation time, or is there any priority between
So
them?
if you see UVZA_1, this is the only thing that we need to keep in mind because this
Okay.
is the default work queue of the default work group. The other
Okay.
things, though it is there in the work group, though it is there in the work group of UVZA, that is not the default one. Okay, this both plays the same role now. This both plays the same role because that is not the default work queue. Now what it will check, as both are having the same urgency, it will check the PX create date time for these two things. Got it?
Okay. So just to clarify, only
Mhm.
for the first pick, we will be checking all these rules, and after that, the remaining checks it will be come from. I mean, the normal rules. All the I mean, all these things will same. Am I right?
Correct. If you see, now I'm having this one. This one, PUVZ100809. This is having priority 10. Now what
Mm,
happens? This is completed. This is finished.
mm,
Now what will be picked up in? Again, it will check the same. Again, it will check the same thing.
mm,
Now it will check for these three cases. If you see, UVZA_1 is there in the default work queue. Though it is having 10 priority, this will be finished first.
mm,
Got it? Because that is something which is expected to be done.
mm.
After this is finished, then only it will check on the other items.
Okay. So only my question is like in between UV said A_2 and UV said B_1, even though UV said A_2 is part of default work
Mhm.
group, right?
Mm.
It
Correct.
is part of default work, but it is not the default work queue of that work group.
Correct.
So, but still, once the selection is completed, then UVZA_2 and UVZB_1 both will be same. I mean, both we will
Correct.
be
That's
considered same.
correct.
Oh,
That's
okay,
really correct. Okay.
okay, okay,
That's correct. Now,
okay,
if I explain the scenario 4, you will get a clear picture of the scenario 3 and scenario 4. If you
okay,
see, this is the first thing. Let's consider this is enabled. Okay. This is enabled. Now, we have this option. We have this other option. Use all work queues. Use all work queues in users teams. In users team is nothing but the default one it's talking about. Okay. If I come back here, this is enabled. This is enabled. Now what it will do? Now it says use all work queue assignments in user's team. So this it will not take the priority of the default work queue. Again, I'm telling you, it will pick. Now, if you consider this is the entire scenario. This is the same thing that we have it here. I'm having it here. Now, if you see what you need to ask, the only thing that you need to ask here is what you need to ask now. The only thing that you need to ask is the default work group. You need to ask what is the default work group? What is the default work group? He tells that user A is the default work group. Now you don't need to ask for the default work queue because it says that get all work queue assignments in the user's teams. So now all work groups are, now all work queues are same. Now all work queues are same. Now what will happen? Here what will happen? It will this both user underscore A underscore 1, user underscore 2 and user underscore A1. So the things, the work queues which are related to this work group will be picked at the initial phase. Got it? Now tell me, what is my expectation? What happens now? Tell me, which will be picked up here? I think Kanchan, you have answered it previously, right? If you remember the previous scenario which you have answered, that
Yeah,
applies here.
here also it's the same only, Teja. First, from UVZA, the top priority will be picked. I mean underscore 1, top priority will be picked, and then UVZA underscore 2 will be completed. Then it will move to UVZB.
No, no,
Underscore
no.
1.
No, if you see what happens here, it will only check the default work group. In this default work group, this is the extra option that we have given to them saying that use all work queue assignments in user's team. It means that here, now tell me what are the work queues I'm having now? Tell me what are the work queues I'm having now? UVZA underscore 1 and UVZA underscore 2 are the work queues, right? Am I right? Am I right? For this UVZA, we are having two work
Yes,
queues,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
As you have enabled this option, it clearly says that don't check the default work queue. So for me now, default work queue is not a priority. Default work queue is not a priority. What is my priority now? So this from these two work queues. First, it only check this work group. Yeah, from this work group, check what are the work queues we are having. We are having two work queues. Now here, get the priority one. If you see this is having urgency 80, this is having urgency 90, and this is having urgency 10. Now what happens? Which will be picked? This will be the item that will be picked. Now what happens? UVZ 104 will be picked. Why? Because it is having urgency of 90 and present in work queue of default work group. Am I clear? Scenario 3 and scenario 4, they are quite different. Scenario 3, what it will do, you have only enabled this option, but you didn't enable this option. It means that it will only check the default work queue of the default work group. If you enable this option, it says that, chalo, now you just go and get all the work queues that are there in the default work group. Yeah, I'm having, these are the two things which are there in my default work groups. Now what happens? Go and pick the highest urgency value from these both work queues. Now what happens? From these both work queues, we are having only three case IDs, 103, 104, 109. From these three things, what will be picked up? UVZA underscore 2 will be picked up. The reason being, we have enabled these two options. It will pick up because it checks UVZA underscore 2. This is there in the default work group. Yes, this is there. Now it will check the urgency value. Yes, 90. Now this should be completed. Got it? Now what happens next? Which one will be picked up?
Teja, just a question here.
Okay.
So can you go to UI? So we have given the work group UVZB as well, right?
Yeah, we have been UVZB also. Correct.
Um, so even like after completing UVZA, will it not pick from UVZB?
No. So if you enable this option, when you select this merge work queues, this is the only option that will
Okay,
be
then
taken on
only it will be
priority
more.
from multiple work queues, multiple work groups.
Yeah,
Sorry. If you are
okay,
not
got
selecting this option, the first two things are related to the default work groups only. The last one that you use here, this is related to the multiple work groups. Am I clear?
Yeah, got it now. Yes.
That's the only difference that we need to keep in your mind, and the interviewer will definitely confuse you with these three options. Okay, this is something which we need to keep in mind. Now, what happens? Now, tell me, this is finished. Which one will be picked up now? This is finished. UVZ 104 is completed. Now, tell me which one will be picked at the second place. You can see, right, from the screen that you see it from here. This is completed. This is completed. Now, tell me which one will be picked.
With priority 80, you visit
Correct.
103.
This will be picked. Nice. This will be picked. This is also completed. Now tell me what happens. This is also
Then
completed.
you said 11 with 10 will be good.
This one, right? This will
Yeah.
be picked. That's true. This will be picked. And last, it will go and check the other work baskets. So these things is very important that you need to keep in mind. The last scenario, it's very important scenario. Scenario 4. This is a scenario 4. Same question, same thing. Now here I'm giving an extra privilege, saying that if you see here, if I enable this option, if I enable this option, you can see the urgency values. If you're having urgency threshold here, what are the urgency threshold that you mentioned that are not that are going? I'll tell you reason why. And if you see, if I enable this option, use all work queues assignments, this merge work queues is not present. And if you see, the thing that you find it from the work queues, the thing that you find it on the work queues will be not present because it will understand for this default work group. For this default work group, whatever the work queues you're having it, go and do it. That's which I already discussed. Now, if I enable this, disable this option, now if I enable this merge work queues, if I enable this merge work queues, now tell me what happens. I've enabled this option and I've enabled this merge work queues option. If I come back here, this is the one that is enabled. Get from work queues is enabled. This is enabled. Now, merge work queues is enabled. Do you think that you need to ask something? What do you need to ask? Do you think that we need to ask something to them? To the interviewer, do we need to ask the default work group? Do we need to ask the default work group if this option is enabled? Do we need to ask anything to the interviewer? No, right? So it's not required for us to have the info. It's not required for us to have additional information now. Okay. Do you think that it's very important for you to check the default work group now? No. It clearly says that merge work queues. Merge work queues, it means that you are merging all work queues of all the work groups. Of all the work groups. Now, what happens if you see this is having UVZ B underscore 1. Let's consider this is having urgency. This is having 85. This is having 90. Now what happens? Which one will be picked? No, all are same. Now if you consider all assignments from Workbaskets are treated equally. Only the urgency value needs to be taken care. The one which is having the highest urgency value will be picked up. Now what will be picked? Tell me. Go ahead.
You visit 106 will be picked first with
Correct. UVZ.
90.
UVZ 106 will be picked because we don't require this. It can be from any work basket. It can be from any work basket. This will be picked because this will be picked because it is having urgency of 90. Now tell me what happens next. This is finished. Now tell me which one will be picked up.
With urgency 85, you
Correct.
visit
UVZ
104.
104. Right now what happens next?
With 80, you visit 103.
Correct. The last one will be UVZ 10.
Visit 109.
Correct. This is how the scenario questions are pumped into. If we consider the three options, plays a major role. Have you? Just now go ahead.
So can you go back to Pega, Teja?
Sure, sure. Okay.
So here we have selected only merge work queue, right? So
Yeah.
the second checkboxes we haven't checked, but still it will consider even the default
Yeah.
work group and everything same only, right?
Yeah.
It
If
won't
you
go ahead with
enable this option,
uh,
automatically what happens? This will be not taken into consideration
oh, okay.
because it says that only check the default one.
Oh,
Okay. It will check the default work group. Inside default work group, you can have multiple work queues. But
okay.
if I disable this option, you find fine. If I enable this option, I'm not giving urgency thresholds here. Without giving any urgency thresholds, scenario 4 will remain same. Now, if I give urgency thresholds here, let's consider I'm giving it as 30 here, 20 here, 10 here. Now, first the cases will be picked from UVZ B underscore 1. Later, it will be picked from UVZ underscore 2. The last will be UVZ A underscore 1. Though that case is having the highest urgency. If I'm telling you, if I go back here, this urgency now doesn't matter. This urgency doesn't matter, though you are having highest urgency value here, but if that value of urgency threshold, if they have specified urgency threshold here, this plays the crucial role. Am I clear? That's the reason why Pega provided this urgency threshold to us. Usually, we'll be not using this urgency threshold. If there is a requirement for you to prioritize that items, what the work items that are there in one work queue, then you can provide this urgency threshold. Clear? Now, tell me, the entire thing remains same. The entire thing remains same. The first thing, if I disable this checkbox, what happens? The entire configuration that you see will remain same. Now let's understand what happens if no checkbox is selected. Same now. Now it will go to work list, right? If I didn't select this option, it says that go and hit the work list first, right? Am I clear? If we consider scenario 1, option is not enabled. Get from work queues first. Then what it is doing? It will pick the one that is having the get next word from the work list. Am I right?
Yeah, and then it will go to the work queue and it will take on the priority. I mean, it won't check
That's
what
correct.
is default or
Hmm.
won't check anything, just on the priority. And if the same priority, then it will go for check the creation date.
Correct. That's correct. Now tell me, if I only enable this option and not enabling this first option, if I'm enabling only this option, use all work queue assignments in user team. I'm not enabling this first option. If I'm only selecting this option of use all work queue assignments in users teams, what happens? What happens?
First, it will exhaust the case from the work list.
That's
Then,
correct.
when it has to pick the case from work queue, then it will pick from this order.
Correct. That's really correct. So if you see here, the entire thing, the entire scenario will remain same. But if and only if, what are the scenario that we worked on? The scenario 3, scenario 4, everything will remain same. But if you see, initial pickup, we are skipping the work list, right? But what happens here? The first, it will exhaust all the cases that are there in the work list. Then it will go to the work basket. Clear? That's how questions are asked. If you are enabling this option, which says that get from work basket or get from work queues first, it will go and hit all the work queues first. If you didn't enable that option, get from work queues first, then all the things which are there in the work list will be exhausted. After it complete all those items, then only it will enter to this work basket items. As you have enabled that option of get all work queues from work list, as you have enabled that option, if you see scenario 3 will remain same. This will be completed as it is. Assignment from work basket, this will be executed as it is. But before it execute these things, the way that we have skipped here, just a minute, someone is knocking the door. I'll be back in a minute. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah. So if you see scenario 3, the way that we have executed for scenario 3 will be executed as it is, but before it execute as it is, instead of we skipping it here, first this will be executed, then only it will go to work basket. Am I clear? Any doubts? Is it clear? If you want one more time, I can explain you. But I want, it's very important, this is how the scenario questions are asked in an interview. Are we good to jump to other topic? If not, I can explain
There's
what is
like
other.
one question here.
Mhm.
So when there is no cases in work queue and work list, okay, so there will be one error message displayed, right? Uh, so can we modify the error message according to our
You
usage?
can modify.
If so, like from where that error message is coming from?
No, if you find any error message on the UI screen, okay, you will be
Um,
finding a banner.
yeah, it's like there is no case available kind of message will be there,
Yes.
right?
What you can do whenever you find any error on any screen, you can use a live UI and open that section. Open that section using a live UI. Inside that section, check the when conditions. Okay, for each and every thing that you display on the UI, they will be having certain when conditions. If there is a requirement for you to modify that condition, yes, you can save as that rule and save as that when rule and modify that one. If there is requirement for you to change the value that is getting displayed on the UI, save as that field value. I think that's the field value that they will be using to display on the as a error message. You can save as that field value. Okay, no worries. We are having a separate topic on the user interface layouts. I will discuss on those items too. Okay. Yes, you
Yeah,
can
yeah, sure.
customize everything. You can customize the error messages as per your requirement. You can do it. Okay. Now let me jump to the Word document. So I'll just going through it. If you see two work queues we are having, then we have added two work cubes, operators assigned to both work queues. We are toggling these two checkboxes. This is something which I already discussed and what each option tells Pega to look. So I will provide you this document. You can see this clearly says, if you select only get from work queues first, what happens? Okay. Other queues in UZA and the work queues from UZ will be ignored. The thing that I have explained you, it is in the read only format. You can read these things. Okay. And we have a summary table. I've already captured the summary table. This says that what happens, what is the behavior. Okay. Then what want to include work queues from you, the other tab, other work queue also. Then we need to enable this option of merge work queues. And what happens, these are settings, the left side that you feel settings, how it evaluates which work queue and priority order. If you see both unchecked, it will check the work list first, then it will go to work queue. If you see only use all work groups is enabled, only this option is enabled, but get from work queues first is disabled. First it will check the work list. After it exhausts the list from work list, then it will go to the all queues. Am I clear? So I'll just share this document, don't worry. And this is how the questions are followed. So if you see, what are the questions that we have discussed here? Those questions are there at the last. These are the things which I will tell you. Now, if you see route assignments to user or a team, how you configure it. If you remember how we will configure routing to a particular person or particular team, if I go back to Designer Studio, if I open this case type, let me close all these things. I'll just go quickly. If you're having any doubt, let me know. If I open this UVZ loan here, if I want to route one assignment to some particular user, what I can do? I can select this assignment. Yes, route to current user, the one who created the case. If you want to route a specific user, yes, you can specify the username or user reference field or reporting manager or participant. Participant is a work party. Yes, we have created owner and approver. If you see work queue, this is with respect to default work queue, right? Now custom is something if you want to route to either work queue or work group. If I'm giving it as work group, we have multiple activities. So if I select to work list. So this is the work. This is the activity that helps to get an operator to which you want to route. So if you can come back here, how will you configure this in Pega? Clear about these answers. But if you see, we have this option of to work list, right? We have this option of either if you want to route a single individual, either you can do a specific user and specify this user, who is that user, or you can during the runtime if you want that person to pick it, you can give work list here. Then router activity, if you're having, you can use this router activity of to work list. It will accept an operator to whom you need to assign the case. Okay, got it? So tell me, someone ask you, I have a requirement to route to a single individual. Then you need to tell him that the first way that you need to tell him that select this specific user and provide that user ID or participant name. Or if it is a reporting manager, select this option. Then he will ask you what is the other way. I don't want to end up select this from here, but I need to use one utility. What is the utility that we need to use? It's very simple. We have this router activity. We need to use this router activity to worklist. If I open this to worklist activity, you can call this activity anywhere. You can call this activity anywhere, not from here, but you can call this activity anywhere, but it accepts a parameter called this operator and this operator. Check availability. First, it will check whether this operator is available or not. If that operator is available to work on that item, then it will go to steps. To that person, it will be assigned. That person will be assigned. So to worklist is something which is very important. Keep in mind, to worklist helps to assign a task to a particular person. If you want to assign a task to a particular person, you can use this activity by passing the parameter as the operator ID. This is the operator ID which you need to pass. For actions do run, if you see it will accept only for this operator, this is the mandatory field that we need to pass. Okay, let's go back here. Next, user not receiving assignments. How to troubleshoot? It says that user is not receiving assignments. User is not receiving assignment. Can you tell me what are the reasons why the user is not receiving assignments? First, check the operator ID status. So if you go back here, go to this operator profile. So user is not receiving the work. It means that go to security tab and check whether that operator is disabled or enabled. This is the first check that you need to do. The second check that you need to do is to check whether this operator is available to receive work is enabled or disabled. If yes, then check for which work group. So let's consider is telling that you visit the loan dispersal from default at rate you visit, I'm not getting any work use. So you need to debug the situation. So the way that I have explained you the scenarios, so the question can come in any way. So how to debug is something which you need to keep in your mind. In order to debug, first go to operator profile and see whether that person is enabled or not. Yes, this option is enabled. Then this option is also enabled. Then check the other feasibilities. Like what are these options we have it here? What are the options that are there in the default one? Am I clear? Got it? The first and foremost check that you need to check is whether the operator is disabled or not. If he is not disabled, then check whether this operator is having this checkbox selected or not. Okay. And this one you can ignore, use tracer or clipboard to verify routing logic. Yes. Whenever you're trying to hit it, if you're having any custom activity, you need to trace that custom activity. If you see, we have configured earlier, either depending upon the requirement to worklist or workbasket. Yes, we can do it. Then how role-based routing? How do you route tasks based on roles? Yes, so there's a requirement saying that leave about this condition, leave about these things. Okay, there is a requirement for me which says that depending upon one particular property, I need to either route to a work list or I need to route to a work basket. This is my requirement, which says that I have a requirement which says that let's consider CIBIL score. If CIBIL score is greater, let's leave about CIBIL score. Government employee status. If the employment status is government, if he is from government sector, then that should be directly routed to the manager, the bank manager. But if the person is from private sector, then we need to route to a work group team. We need to route to a particular team. So this is a condition based routing. If there is a condition based routing, make sure that you are using either when rules or decision tables. Okay, for that one, what we need to do, if you come back here, if there's requirement, let's consider this is my requirement for this one. I need a conditional based routing. So what I can do, I can give to workbasket. I can give to workbasket, provide the workbasket name. For this workbasket, I need to route. But before I route to this workbasket, what you can do, the way that you have used property set here, parameter assigned to parameter workbasket, before this step, add a insert above step, what you can do, properties set. You can do properties set. First, what you can do parent dot assign to. Okay, I want it to be, let's consider I'm routing it to some particular user. Okay, let's say dummy test, right? So what, before I route to a particular person, I need to check a condition which says that when says which value, when dot employment type. Employment type. If employment type equals to not equals to, sorry. If employment type not equals to government, sorry, if employment type, as I mentioned, if employment type equal to government, then it should be routed to what? It should be routed to a person. If employment states, if employment state dot employment state, I'm just giving an example, okay? State is not equal to government. Then what happens? It will be routed to workbasket. So just keep in mind that if any question asks you, if someone asks you any question, instead of you having it as to workbasket, you can do save as of this one. Okay, you can provide a custom routing activity name and you pass that routing activity name here. Instead of you passing it as to workbasket, you can pass with different name. Okay, the only thing that you need to keep in mind, what are the things which Pega provided to us? What are the things which Pega provided to us? You can customize them depending upon your requirement. This is the conditional based routing. Conditional based routing is something which is very important because there's a requirement which says that depending upon some situation, I need to route to a work queue. Depending upon my situation, I need to route to a work list. Yes, we can do that. But the only thing that you need to keep in mind, whenever you are assigning this to a parent work basket, if you're assigning it to some work basket, make sure that the when condition plays a crucial role. Okay, the employment status. So depending upon this condition, yes, parameter assigned to parameter work basket, parameter assigned to if I open this to work list, open this if you see parameter assigned to parameter operator, everything will remain same. But keep in your mind that if you want to work on a custom activity, you can do it. Okay, this is something which is very important. This is role based routing. Okay, now if you see wrong routing to work list, how do you fix it? Let's consider there's a requirement which says that I have a case that got routed to some particular person. Okay, let's consider it got routed to A. But my requirement is that that should not be routed to A, but that should be routed to B. How you can do that? You can use this reassign. We have this reassign utility. You see, this is reassign. If it's a requirement for you to reassign any case to any person, there's a requirement for you to reassign to particular operator or particular work basket. Okay, yes, you can do it by making some certain modifications. I didn't enter this we didn't touched upon activity rule, but I'm telling you, let's consider there is a case which got created and that is assigned to A. But my requirement is that A person should not work on that case. Some person need to work on that case. B, let's consider B need to work on that case. Yes, you can reassign that work to operator B by using this activity. Okay, configuration part, which I will discuss in activity lecture. But keep in mind, yes, we can reassign the work list to some other person. We can reassign the work list. Okay. I come back here. Out of office routing, how to route to fallback activity. If you see, we consider this operator. What happened? If you come, I will give you another scenario. I've given it as, if you see, I've instead of custom logic, I've given a specific username. I'm selecting this username. So for this person, it should be routed, right? So let's consider I'm giving this option. It says that this assignment need to be carried out by this person. Okay, let's consider this person is not present. Maybe he is on leave. This person is on leave. If I go to security, what he did, this person, is on leave. If you see scheduled absence, if he is absent, if he have provided this date, so 14th and 15th, he is not available. If he is not available on 14th and 15th, this person is not available on 14th and 15th. Though he is having this option of operate available to receive work, he is not available on this week. So what happens? I need to write an utility in such a way that check for that operator who got assigned to that case. If that operator is having this absence, if he is not present on these dates, make sure that you are routing it to some other person. How we can achieve that one? It's very simple. We need to write a utility which check the condition of the scheduled absence. If I click on live UI, we have this property value, py available from py available to. Okay, if it will check the range py available from and py available to, if that is falls under the current date time, make sure that you are skipping the case. If you need to create a when condition saying that if px create date time, is less than or equals to or greater than. If it greater than this one, less than this one, make sure that you need to route to some other person. How to route to some other person? The way that we have did it here. 1 minute. The entire thing will remain same. If you see, this is the activity that we modified it, right? So we are routing to some other person, but make sure that with this when condition, what you need to do? You need to check here dot px create date time. This date time is greater than the value that he is absent from, less than from, less than to, greater than from. We need to write a when condition. So this is how we can route to a particular person by using a fallback activity when that person is not working. Clear? Activity lecture is something which we'll discuss many things. But for now, just keep in mind, yes, we can route to a particular person if someone is absent. We can do that by writing an utility. Am I clear? I will skip these things for now. You can just read this one. Now I'll go to SLS. SLS one. These things, please go through this one. If you're having any doubts, we can discuss later. We can discuss tomorrow. SLS part, it says that questions. 2 hours SLA and escalate at 1.1 hour, 1.5 hour. This is my requirement which says that configure an SLA for 2 hours and escalate at 1.5. It means that we need to create an SLA rule for goal 1.5 hours. So we have a goal and deadline, right? So create a goal for 1.5 hours and deadline will be 2 hours, right? If you want to escalate at 1.5 hours, what we need to do? We need to we have an option, right? In SLAs, we have option escalation actions. We have actions, right? If I go to records, process, service level agreement, this is the one that we have already configured. So let's consider at the goal, if the goal time is breached, we have an option to escalate. Escalate is nothing but we will be notifying it to party or notifying authority, notify to the manager. Escalation, these are the escalation actions that we can do if we want to perform whenever the goal is breached, right? We have only increased the urgency because while we work on that email listeners, we'll work on sending emails. Okay. If I come back here again, SLA timer not working. Someone tells you that there's a whatever the SLA that I have configured is not working as expected. How you are going to troubleshoot? This is the other question which is very important. Okay. They need to make sure, as mentioned, SLA will be working on which agent? Pega Procom. Pega Procom is the agent which will take care of all the SLA actions. Make sure that agent is up and running. Okay. If that agent is not working, if the agent is not running, then whatever the SLA that you have configured will be not working as expected. Okay. And also, if SLA timer is not working, you need to validate, you need to check flow assignment. It says that you go and check the flow. In that flow, check whether that SLA is initiated or not. Okay, let's consider we have three assignments in a single flow. If you have configured the SLA on the third assignment, and if I'm telling that SLA is not getting picked up, but if the case is on the second assignment, will it be picked up? No. First, it should hit the third assignment. Then the SLA timer will on. Okay, it's very important. If someone asks you how to troubleshoot SLAs, the only thing that you need to keep in your mind is that I will go and check whether that agent is up and running. If that agent is up and running, I will do trace of that agent. I will do trace of that agent for the next SLA run. Then you will be able to find whether that SLA is getting picked or not. Okay, the thing that you need to keep in mind is to check whether that agent is up and running. And the other thing that you need to keep in mind is that you need to trace using that Pega Procom agent. Am I clear? Then you need to trace, you need to understand the tracer. And this is something which is very important. SLA not triggered in wait shape. They will ask you whether SLA will be triggered if you have a wait shape or not. The first time, if you're not doing any extra configurations, if you're having only wait shape as 3 hours or wait shape as 2 hours, then SLA will be not calculated for that wait shape. Okay. SLA not triggered in wait shape. Yes, SLA will be not calculated in wait shape until and unless you make some configurations. If you're not making any configurations, we are having a separate lecture on wait shapes. I will discuss on that point. But keep in mind, SLA time will not be calculated if you're having a wait shape enabled. Okay. Then we have the escalation only during working hours. We have already discussed this option of calculate only using business hours. If you select this option, it will only calculate in business days, and what are the other days that you have, that is weekends, that will be skipped. Okay. Okay, this is a question, pause or resume SLA. Can we pause or resume SLA? If someone asks you, can we pause or resume SLA? No. So there is no direct option to pause or resume SLA. What we can do, we need to cancel our existing SLA. Whatever the elapsed time that we have, we need to store that. Then after, we need to recreate SLA using business logic. So if you see what happens, just review about these steps. Can we pause or resume SLA? No, there is no direct way that to pass an SLA. But what we can do, whatever the existing SLA that you have configured on that assignment, you can cancel it. For each and every SLA, we'll have we have this property called PX elapsed time. PX elapsed time. PX elapsed time is nothing but the amount of time it took from the start of SLA. From the start of SLA, let's consider if the goal is 4 hours. It started now. PX elapsed time, let it be 2 hours. After 2 hours, I want to pause it. What you can do? You can get that PX elapsed time. PX elapsed time, that 2 hours, you can get and capture it on some other property. Stop that SLA. And let's consider after 2 days, if you want to enable it, just enable it from using the property of PX elapsed time. From PX elapsed time 2 hours to 4 hours, we need to do it. I'm telling you, this again requires an activity to be configured. Okay, don't worry. We'll discuss more scenario questions in activity when we touch upon activity. Okay. Can we do case level SLA? Yes, we can configure case level SLA. SLA can be configured on case level, on stage level, on process level, and on step level. Yes, we can do it. Okay. So this is something which is related to the job scheduler topic. Okay, he will ask you, can we auto repeat on missed SLAs? Let's consider there is some SLA which is missed. The user didn't work upon. So what we need to do, I need to send a report to my manager. Yes, in order to send, if you remember, whenever we are working on sending a scheduled reports to manager, there comes the picture of job scheduler. So we need to create a job scheduler. Along with that, we need to create a report definition. So once we have knowledge on job scheduler and report definition, if someone asks you this question, you will be definitely in a position to answer this. Okay. Custom escalation behavior, as mentioned, use escalation activities. We can use these escalation activities which are there. Okay. And custom escalations, not for custom escalation behavior. Custom escalation behavior is especially for routing, role-based routing to worklist or to workbasket. If you want to route depending upon the condition, yes, you can do it by using the existing APIs. APIs is nothing but the utility which we worked on. To worklist or to workbasket, you can customize them depending upon your requirement. Okay. Dynamic SLA assignment is nothing but the same, the custom or the custom SLA. So depending upon the property. If the condition is met, I need to route to worklist. If the condition is not met, I need to route to workbasket. So just keep in mind, dynamic SLA assignment is nothing but there's requirement for you to route to either workbasket or worklist depending upon condition. That comes the picture of customizing what? Utility. Either you can customize the to workbasket assignment utility or to worklist utility. But keep in mind, we need to add one more step depending upon the condition. Okay. Next, again, SLA agent not run. SLA agent running but not triggering. Okay. Check whether that PX gate datetime is set for each and every case that are getting created. Check that is there or not. Next, check for agent access group. So for each and everything, we will be having broken queue items too. For each and every agent, this is separate topic which we require some agent knowledge. But keep in mind, SLA will work on agents. If agent is not up and running, SLAs will not work. If you want to trace it, yes, you go ahead and trace it using an option. We have already done. We have already traced it. The way that we have traced it, if something is not working as expected in SLS, you need to go and trace it. Okay. And I'm just going directly to work parties. Work parties will be having only few questions. No one will ask more questions in work parties. So first one, model multiple work parties. How to configure multiple parties in work party? Okay, we have this option of use add work object party. Before that, what are the things which are important for work party? If I go to the process tab, the work parties, you see the work parties, what we have? Owner, customer, approver, the way that we have created it. So let's consider I don't want to have it on visible or entry. In order to initiate this work party at the place I want to initialize, what I need to do, which activity that I need to call? Can someone tell me which activity I need to call if I want to initialize this person or this work party based on my requirement. What I need to do? We already discussed, right? Let's consider after I capture the customer details, I need to create this work party, right? What we have done, if we go here, case types, user loan here. This is the utility which you have configured, right? We need to call in utility. Inside that utility, we have called this add work object party. Am I right? This is the add work object party, which helps to initialize. Once we have the information, if you want to initialize this work party, yes, we can do it by using utility called add work object party. This is something which is very important for interview point of view. Keep in your mind. Just keep this utility directly in your mind. Okay, add work object party. Keep this in your mind. Yes, from this, they will ask you the questions. If you see, add party dynamically. How to add party dynamically? By using this activity. Okay. How to notify external stakeholders? If there's requirement for you to notify external stakeholders, it's nothing but notify external stakeholders depending upon some SLA. So what you need to do, to come back to the SLA, notify party. You need to select this notify party. You need to provide that correspondence rule, party rule. So you need to provide to whom you want to notify and what is the correspondence name. It's if you are sending an email to a particular person, we need to have a correspondence rule, which I will discuss later. We have a separate lecture on that one too. But keep in mind, if you want to notify to a particular person, yes, you can notify to the particular party by selecting this option. Okay. Correspondence template fields, I'll discuss on this on the correspondence lecture. And what we have notify dynamic third party vendor. This is something again related to the email listeners, which I will discuss later. Okay. Next, we can skip all these things because this is the advanced topic which we'll be covering once we have the correspondence and email listeners on place. Okay. Again, this is with respect to skills. I request you to the things which we have discussed till now. The things which I have discussed now with the beautiful example we already discussed, right? These are the questions that comes under the things which we already discussed. Okay. As we have already elapsed the time, these are the questions which have been discussed because these are the questions that I have given it as part of the scenario. What are the first scenario that we have discussed? This is the scenario, right? With respect to the scenarios, what are the questions that you find it on the last 3 pages? Okay. See, get work logic is customized, but isn't it a work for all queues? Business wants only senior users to pull work from all work queues. Junior should not pull from one. How do you support this? The thing which we have discussed. The same thing, these are the questions that you can find it from here. Scenario-based questions on use all work queues assignments user team. If you scroll up, you can find scenario-based questions on. This is scenario-based questions on get from work queues first. Okay. I've segregated them depending upon the way that I've explained you. I request everyone to read this document, understand this document. You can find the answers here. Majority of the answers that I have mentioned here are accurate. And if you feel that something is missed or something is wrong, you can get back to me. I will respond to you. Am I clear? I hope you have captured the enough information that is required for the work parties. If someone asks you any interview question or any scenario based question from these topics, I hope that you will be in a position to answer them. I request to go to the document, just read the document, understand it, and if you're having any doubts with respect to the document, come back for tomorrow's class, then we are good to go. Am I clear?
Yeah, that's
Okay, that's all for today. I hope you like this lecture. The way that we have discussed in our base question for this topic, the entire series that we are going to complete for the entire things that we discuss with respect to any rule, we are having scenario questions, which will definitely help you to crack your interview. That's all for today. Thanks for joining. Have a great day ahead. Let's connect tomorrow with the same energy. Sorry if I extend. Okay, if I extend for more 20 minutes, sorry, but I will not. I'll try to reduce my time. Thanks. Feel free to reach out to me if you're having any doubts. Thanks. Have a great day ahead. Take care. Bye bye.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Teju.